Vivek Chaand Sehgal joins us, Chairman and Managing Director of Motherson Sumi. I always look forward to interacting with him. He's one person I've always looked up to and admired his ability to really outthink what is going to be the next big trend and manage extraordinary complicated supply chains in the auto sector by having multiple manufacturing facilities in multiple locations and bringing everything together under one listed company. Mr. Sehgal, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Hope everything is fine and well with you. Mr. Sehgal, last time when we met, the world was in a flux. Numbers of cases in Europe and US were rising. Unfortunately, this time the situation is reverse, which is that in India, things are getting bad to worse. In developed nations, it's getting from worse to better. How will that impact your business? Because you are a global company. Large business comes from India, but also large business comes from Europe and US.
So, Nikunj, I think one thing is sure, it's really uncertain times everywhere in the world. Whatever looks good and sustainable in a particular country, suddenly you can see disturbance coming over there. You're right, India looked very, very positive in the last time we talked. And at this moment, we're in the midst of this storm that's hitting us on COVID. We are seeing some reduction in the people coming to work because I think rightfully so, they want to stay at home and be safe. So that is presenting another challenge to some of our plants in India. But globally, I think we must give credit to the governments. They have been very, very clear in their thinking that industry should not come to a halt because it creates even more problems for them in the short term and the medium term. So one sees a lot of governments coming to make sure that there is a lockdown and those things which are not so necessary, like maybe cinema halls and malls and things like that. But industry and schools are two areas definitely where we are seeing a lot of the governments are paying focus. Kids can go to school and the people can go to work and life somehow we must continue. So even in these challenging times, that's a great hope that we have from the governments.
But Mr. Sehgal, are incrementally things on a mend for the car market? Same time last year, which is Q1 FY21, there was a huge drop. Even though the second wave is there in India and even globally also, it's not that COVID is over. You still have fresh additions to the number of cases. But do you think the passenger car market has stabilized? The way we approach mobility, has that changed permanently now?
Yes. In my personal opinion, it's going to overcome all the challenges that people think they will be there because of the simple fact that the whole thought process of personal mobility has changed. While people were very comfortable in the thought that they can share cars and share rides and all these things can happen, today it's really a concern. I mean, you can see it happening with the people are buying cars, even second-hand cars are being bought just so that they have some form of personal mobility. So I think that is a global phenomenon. It's happening everywhere. And India is no exception to that particular thing. So, I think COVID second wave, or God forbid if there is a third wave or whatever, that only reassures the people that whatever thought process they have is a good one, is sustainable.
Mr. Sehgal, if I look at the data points and whatever is available in the public information, the dispatch numbers which we get from luxury car makers, especially for Europe, the JLR numbers which we've got for China, all of them are indicating that a double-digit growth for this year is almost given. Do you see that there is a high probability of a double-digit growth in the auto market across the board?
Yes, you're right. We are seeing the same thing over there. Even in the Indian context, in today's day and age, barring the shortages whichever are there, people have been using their work from home very, very well. They are still wanting to work. And hence the consumption of the home appliances, electricals, TVs, computers, iPads, I mean, you name it, every single thing has really gone through. People are upgrading to something which is better so that they can work more effectively. And that also leads to the shortages in semiconductors and other raw materials and all that. So you can see all that also increasing. But I don't see that reducing in the next 6 months to a year. I think somewhere around 2022, first quarter, second quarter, you will start to see respite in that because capacity takes time to build, and they will eventually for sure. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
So what's your sense? I'm asking you a question at the beginning of the financial year. I respect the fact that you are in a quiet period right now. So if I will ask you for specific, I will not get anything specific. So let me ask more like a big picture question. Do you expect that this year will be marginally better or this year will be significantly better for you?
So other than the human front, definitely the year has to be better. Under the circumstances, we extrapolate, as you said, the first quarter of the last year. We take that out. Definitely, I think it's going to be a better year. But yes, human tragedy is very, very appalling and sad. Other than that, yes, I agree with you.
I remember a couple of years ago when world discovered that EV is here and EV is going to be the next disruptive technology, everyone had written off Motherson. The view was that you'll find it difficult to survive in the new EV world because you were making auto ancillary parts or components for the ICE engine, which is the internal combustion engine. But your EV order book has really grown exponentially. Is the EV business which you are now catering to for auto companies, is this the high growth and the high delta and the high margin business?
Definitely, I think in these times, a lot of things are at play. So it's pretty dynamic what's happening, and yes, people are wanting to go towards a full electric engine kind of a scenario, and our order book is also growing in that. In fact, this time when we announce our results, we will give you a new order book, and I'm sure you will see that. They are absolutely showing you what you're reading in the papers and all that, that people want to go towards electric vehicles and all that. So that throws a challenge to us, but also it shows our technical competence. EVs require all other parts to be lighter and stronger because the speed at which they can catch up, and hence they have to be strong, and also they have to be lighter so that to conserve the battery space or the battery power. So I think Motherson is in a very sweet spot over there because we are in a position that we have all the technologies of the companies that we took over in Germany and in France and all other places. So we're very relevant, and the car makers absolutely like what we are delivering to them.
I've admired the ability of Motherson to understand the need of the customer, create a capacity near the demand center, and then you buy an asset and you turn it around. You know the art of growing inorganically. While 95% of the acquisitions in the world do not fail, for Motherson it's a completely different kettle of fish. How do you manage this?
Why change something which is good? Nikunj, at this moment, there is tremendous amount of uncertainties in the automotive world, as I can put it. And they want to look at companies who have a long-term view. We've never sold a company in our life. So we take a company over, we sustain it, make it that much more dependable, better the quality, and then deliver products to our customers. So I don't think we will move out of that particular area. Our thinking is very consistent with what we have done in the last 25 years. We've already finished five-year plans, so time does fly. But that's one. But this time we also have some new verticals which are coming in, which would be very interesting. And so really exciting time in this kind of era where we are in at the moment.
As per your vision statement, you have shared that you have ambition to keep a return ratio or ROS which is near 40%. How do you see the non-auto versus auto business ratios moving? And when you say 40, how are you arriving at that number?
Well, I think we hope they will kick in the current the next 4 years. You'll start to see a lot of news coming on these particular sites. On many of the new verticals, we are on the verge of making the announcements. And I think the target is pretty decent. People are very excited about it. It's $9 billion US by 2025. So we are telling the world we are open. We are open to take over companies, solve the problems, and also deliver to the people what they really need in these trying times where we are at the moment. Especially medical devices, medical products that we are getting into are very, very exciting. And they will deliver tremendous amount of value to the consumers, but also at a much cheaper cost.
So what will be the basic character of your medical business? Will it be a B2B business? Will it be a C2 business? Will this be a fully independent business? Because you, in a sense, right now are in the B2B business. It's not a B2C business which you are in. Will your medical business be a B2B business or a B2C business?
Both would be there. We are talking to OEMs also, and we'll be making for them. And also we would be coming out with our own brand and would be launching it. That would be a little bit more longer, but eventually that's where we want to be. The good thing is, Nikunj, that we have over 272 facilities, and each one of them has huge core strengths in product design, mold design, the assembly, and also then marketing of the same particular thing. So the whole group actually builds up on this. So it's a very exciting sphere where we are going. And would love to share it with you. We shared it with the investor conference when we had it, the virtual investor conference that we had about 3 months ago. But would love to share it with you at one appropriate time.
There is a huge uptick in commodity prices. This is something which will directly have impact on your revenue as well as your operating margins. How are you negotiating this time? Because the way prices have gone up, it's quite extraordinary. Steel prices at an all-time high. Suddenly copper is called as the new oil. Some are calling it as the new gold. Bottom line here is that commodity prices have gone through a roof. How are you managing it?
Well, I must first acknowledge very, very grateful to the customers. They understand what's happening. They're dealing with it themselves. They have been very, very supportive to all their suppliers. And, in these days, even if you lose one car, it's a huge loss. So working very closely with the car makers, with all the automotive customers in the world, we have not seen any hesitancy from their side to not to take care of these particular issues. So I think we have united in a very wonderful way where everything is very transparent and things are happening at very, very good speed. So I think this is a time when we should be focusing on making sure that production is happening, more and more goods and services are being produced as where they are required. And I'm very grateful to our customers who are really supporting this particular initiative. Otherwise, we could have been in serious trouble, as you rightly were alluding to.
Okay, in India, the entire reliance of being Atmanirbhar is the push towards creating local manufacturing capacities and give them a booster with the PLI scheme. But what Indian government is doing, other governments are also trying to do, which is that boost the local manufacturing. How do you see this narrative changing for the world? Because everybody wants manufacturing to shift to their respective global country. Everybody wants to reduce dependence on imports and also increase jobs in the local countries.
Well, I don't think it's anti-globalization and all that. I think eventually it will settle down to what you can effectively produce in any country, you will. You can hold a national feelings that, yeah, I want to do it in India, I want to do it in China, I want to do it in Japan, blah, 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 whatever. But eventually, business and all the things require economic sense. And I personally am very thrilled that the PLI scheme and all the things that are happening in India or in any country which is there, we take pride that we contribute to that particular country. But I think India is the only country where we say Vishwadev Kudumbakam, or what is it? The world is one family. So I think that is a very wise way to do it. Eventually, it will come down to wherever we can effectively produce, we will. So we don't have any this thing. We are looking at a lot of PLI schemes in India also, but eventually, I think it's all about economic this thing eventually.
Mr. Sehgal, one of the very basic indicators which we've used in the past to judge the way how the business trajectory for Motherson is moving is that we look at commentary from passenger car companies, global luxury car companies, we look at the dispatch numbers. Like in case of Bharat Forge, we've looked at class A truck sales to understand which way the forging business is moving. But given that the dynamics are changing, you are getting into a new medical business, the EV business means the EV order book is going to change the way how your future order book is going to be recognized. What are the indicators we should now track to understand the course of business trajectory?
So I think, it's going to be a bit of a challenge how we are going to project to our shareholders what to look for and what to understand, how to understand our company. But one thing is very sure, Motherson is a very transparent company. We have never hidden any fact from anybody. We are now getting into the reorganization where, Motherson will have two distinct, this thing. One would be a domestic Indian play, very sharply focused on Indian growth and all that. The other would be a more global play. And in that also, if you see our last two quarter results, we have clearly shown how we will be showing our different companies and all that. The same would be also there for the new vertical. We would show it very clearly to our people so that they can understand this company. And I think the proof is in the eating of the pudding. So if you see how much our shareholders have appreciated, last year at this time, our share price was sitting at about 48 rupees or something like that. Now it's about 210 or something like that. So the clarity with which we have shown to the people what we are doing is very clearly understood by them, and that's why it's reflected in the share price as well.
I was actually coming to that, and frankly, I've had the pleasure of tracking your company for many years now, almost more than a decade. Whether it was European crisis because of the whole Brexit or the Brexit issue, every time your stock has got hammered, even last year because of the COVID crisis, the company has managed to come out stronger. So what would you say is your COVID learning? Because a year ago things were looking dim, now things are looking bright. How have you managed to turn it around?
That's true. That's true, and I'm very grateful to my team for that. Globally, we're about 150,000 people. And the way these 150,000 people have got together and ensured that we delivered, I'm so grateful to them. very grateful to every single unit. Even if a unit for some reason was in a loss kind of situation, how they really worked to make sure that even if they can bring the loss down to zero was a big thing. And amazing from coming from Motherson. So I think the name kind of rubs off to the team. So it's a thing about trust. Yeah, I think on the thing about these kind of happenings, that crisis or whatever you want to call them, one thing we have heard and learned very well from some of our gurus in factory, this thing, the Japanese, is that don't waste the time. When people are working and suddenly there is a reason that there is no work, use the people to solve out all your issues. Nikunj, we had huge issues in multiple plants because of huge problems that we were facing. Different countries, different problems we were facing. I'm saying kudos to our team members across the globe. They actually, in the time of COVID crisis, could actually go to the plant and sort out one by one every issue. In US, we could find that people were in short supply and all that. Because of COVID, there were a lot of people available suddenly. We actually hired more people, brought them in, put them in the right places, and they were very grateful for that. Same in Europe, same in India, same everywhere. So I think to waste a crisis is a huge mistake. Crisis will come. It will always happen. It's a very VUCA world, whatever you want to call it. So one thing is sure, if you can use it to your advantage, that's the way to go. So grateful that all my team members really worked very hard to solve these issues, and the results are for you to see, and it's only going to get stronger.
I want to go back to that point on acquisition which we discussed. You managed to grow and add value by acquiring companies, adding customer base, by turning around some of the plants which were inefficient. Globally, 95% of the acquisitions don't work. How have you managed to get this great success ratio going for you?
Nikunj, one particular learning we had long time ago. In 1947, 565 countries became India. And we are so diverse in India, and we never use that to our advantage. But now we are in, say, 42 countries at the moment, or 41 countries at the moment. Believe me, when you're dealing with 565 countries, what's another 40 countries for you? It's nothing. So the ability to recognize the fact that the only culture which is valid and works very well if you focus on it is agriculture. Other than that, all cultural issues should be out of the window. You just focus on production, focus on the customer satisfaction and the things which are necessary for your ultimate customer. So I think Motherson has learned its lesson very, very well on that. And that's why we are very strong. We don't hesitate at all. We are absolutely fearless. Any country, any place you want us to go, we are willing to go. So I think that is something that we've learned from the great country called India, which is that diversity actually is your strength.
So I'm going to ask two questions. I know one immediate, which is about the second wave, and one slightly long term. Can I say that as of now, as we speak today, even though the second wave is a ravage wave, it is a devastating wave. We've never seen this kind of a crackdown, this kind of a breakdown on infrastructure or medical infrastructure ever in our lives, and hopefully this should get sorted out soon. You are confirming to us that none of the companies you've spoken to are in a sense giving you any alarm signals. And the reason I'm asking you this is because let's look at Hero MotoCorp. And Mr. Munjal did decide to shut down the plants. It could be a preemptive move, but do you see a similar kind of an phenomenon which other companies could also adopt?
So I personally think that, nobody can predict on this matter. I think Pawanji must have thought a lot why he's taking that step, and he must have been very, very. I know him as a person. He's an amazing person. So he must have thought about what are the reasons why he's doing that. I'm sure a lot of people all over the world are going to be thinking, because of the certain circumstances in that particular country, that particular city, that particular area where their plant is. So these things are going to happen. It's not going to be a hunky-dory ride from now to the next 1 year or so. I think vaccination is a very important thing. People are going to get more and more vaccinated. They're going to eventually get over the fear of these particular new circumstances that we have. And I'm sure it is going to become better eventually. But yeah, in the short term, you will see a lot of hiccups. You will see a lot of bumps on the way. But you have to be very nimble on your feet. You have to be very focused on what your customer wants and breathe with the market. That's a big lesson in Motherson, is always breathe with the market. If the market is saying run, we'll run. If it says walk, we'll walk. If it says sit down, take a chai, and we will do that. So just breathing with the market is the ultimate mantra, I think.
Market's telling you, walk, run, sit down.
Different markets we are in, so multiple legs. Many of them are almost at the running stage, but some are walking, and some unfortunately are sit down and have a cup of tea. That's okay.
So, final question, Mr. Sehgal, and I'm just, your son is not part of the interview, but I'm sure he'll watch the interview, because the question I'm asking you is about your relationship with your son. Purely as professionals, two individuals with different thought processes, what are the times professionally you agree with your son, and what are the times he disagrees with you?
A very interesting question. I think, one good thing about what Motherson has done, or the way we have run this particular thing, there's hardly any room for disagreement, because ours is consensus management. Nikunj, we have never, Vaman or me are not the CEOs of any company. We're not the CEOs of any company. We are more supportive role. We work together with the professionals who are not my blood relative in any way or something like that. We support them in every endeavor that they have. So Vaman and me are more disagreeing about how many strokes he should be giving me in golf. Those kind of problems we will have, or what kind of dinner we go to, or something like that. But really, on business and all that, not much to disagree. But yes, we do talk a lot. We spend a lot of time together, and grateful for under these COVID times, that we got a lot of good time, quality time together, to look at what is happening in the group and how to improve it and things like that. But yeah, we do fight very strongly on the golf strokes. Sometimes he gives me very little strokes, and that's not fair.